And welcome to the channel. In today's video, I am going to attempt to upholster this old office chair. So if you're interested in seeing that content, come on back by and let's reupholster my office chair. Before I start this project, let me give you guys a little bit of background. My chair, excuse me, woo, I got froggy there for a minute. My chair is roughly 17 years old. It was a gift to me from my father. And I said to myself, Self, that chair is old and starting to get a little worn. It's time to do something new. Instead of buying a new chair, which was the route I was going to take, I did my search online. I tried to decide what type of chair I wanted. And then I said, you know what? Reupholster the chair and make a video about it. So that's what I'm doing today. I have my fabric, I have my tools, I've taken a picture of the chair, and it's time to get started. So let's get started. The reason why I've chosen to reupholster this chair is because on the armrest, it's beginning to deteriorate and there is a slight hole coming up in the fabric. And on the seat, the material has begun to wear. I've tried covering up, throwing a blanket over it, but I just don't want to do that anymore. So I'm going to try to reupholster this chair. So first things first, I cleaned the chair. Second thing, I picked out my fabric. I've taken all the necessary photographs of the chair before I dismantle it. And so now I'm going to start by dismantling the armrests. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with something a little less intimidating. So let's get started on these armrests. In order to get these armrests off, as you can see, there are screws up under the chair. There are 3 screws holding the armrest on. So I am going to take these screws out. Now that the screws have all been removed, it's time to remove the armrest. And that came off pretty easily. And as you can see, there are a number of staples holding this fabric onto the armrest. So I'm now going to be removing these staples and removing this material. Okay, now the tools I'm going to use are a flathead screwdriver and needle nose pliers. Now my pliers look a little rough for the wear. They got damaged here and I need to clean them up. But for right now, they'll do just fine. So I'm just going to take my flathead screwdriver, a smaller one, and I'm just going to wedge up under these staples. Now keep in mind that this chair is like 17, 18 years old, so these are some pretty tough staples. And when you take your staples out or you're lifting them, make sure that you don't have your other hand in the way, your opposite hand. Move it out of the way because you do not want to accidentally slip and hurt yourself, and then you end up in the emergency room and end up having to have a tetanus shot. So you want to make sure that you keep your hand out of the way when you're trying to lift these staples. So I'm going to take these staples out. I'm not going to have you guys watch me take these staples out. Well, you know what? I'm going to speed this up so that you can see me do it. I'm not going to do this real time, just in case you do want to watch me take staples out. Now that all of the staples have been removed, safety note, try not to scratch yourself with a staple. no worries, I've had my tetanus shot. I'm going to take the existing fabric off of the armrest. Now this armrest has a little bit of damage right here to the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue, a little bit of glue, and I'm going to just glue that back together. It doesn't really need a whole nother foam cover. This cover should still be just fine. So let me get my E6000 and I'm going to glue that up. I changed my mind. I don't want to use E6000 because E6000 is going to take a little time. I'm going to get some hot glue and just glue that back together. It'll be just fine once the fabric gets on. So let me get my hot glue gun, get that fired up, and while I'm waiting for it to get fired up, I am going to cut a piece of the new fabric by using this old fabric as a template. I have my new fabric right here, and I'm just going to unfold it. I think I bought more fabric than I really needed, but we'll see how this goes. I'm going to unfold the fabric and expose one of the sides, and I'm just going to use this old fabric as a template for the new fabric. And I am just going to cut and move it up so you guys can see. Let's see, I am going to cut it right here so that I can go ahead and begin to mold it around the armrest and then staple it down and then cut off any unnecessary excess. So let me get my scissors. Now excuse my iron in the background. I am in my office / craft room, and so I'm on the ironing board. But I have my craft scissors or my sewing scissors, and I am going to just cut 2 pieces of fabric roughly about the same size for the armrest. So I'm leaving a little bit of overhang. I hope you guys can see. I'm leaving a little bit of overhang on the front, both sides, as well as the end piece here. So now I'm just going to make my cut. Making sure that I cut only the fabric and not my ironing board cover, because that would not be good. There we go. Just like that. And then I'm going to go up on the other side. I'm going to cut it just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to go up on this side, making sure that I am not cutting my ironing board cover. And just up we go. Making sure I'm only cutting the fabric. Now this is a heavy duty upholstery fabric, and I chose a heavy duty upholstery fabric because the armrests, as you can probably tell, get a lot of use. You're resting your arms on there, and I don't want to have the same type of problem anytime soon. Like I mentioned, my chair is 17 years old, so this is the first time I'm going to have to make this type of reupholstering job. So I'm just going to take this material and I'm going to cut it at this seam here and make 2 pieces. So now I have both pieces cut for the right and the left armrest. All right, so now let's glue the armrest, and then we're going to start putting the chair back together, or at least the armrest portion of the chair. The glue gun is hot, and now it is time to glue this piece together. Now I could just place a new foam in the chair, but this is the only issue with the foam, is this portion right here. So I just don't feel the need to replace the foam or add additional foam. So I'm just going to put some hot glue. Hopefully I'm putting it where it needs to go and it's not going to deteriorate the foam. It's all guesswork. It's all guesswork. And I'm just going to just hold it here for just a second while this hot glue sets up. There we go. Still a little bit wet, but I think I've got a tiny bit right here as well that could use a little bit of hot glue. I'm just going to put a little bit right here as well. I want to make sure that there is complete contact and I can see where it's starting to lift up on the front half. So I'm going to need to hold that a little while longer. I'm going to need to hold it together a little while longer because it's hasn't secured yet. So while I do this, I'm going to go off camera because you guys don't want to wait until this is all the way dry. But I am going to let this dry and then I will be right back. Okay, I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. I have decided to take this and move it to a harder surface so that I can actually staple. I am not going to do this real time. I'm going to speed this up because for some reason when I staple, the pressure of the staple messes with my microphone, and I don't want that to happen in this video as it happened in a previous video. So I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to staple this fabric onto this armrest. Okay, now that the edges have been stapled, and if you find that your staples did not go all the way through, just use a hammer and hammer them in. I need to tackle the corners, but first I want to make sure that there isn't any puckering, and that the fabric is laying down as flat as possible. Now I did not staple the bottom center, so I do need to do that. So let me staple the bottom center. Now that the staples have been placed in, the excess fabric has been cut off, I am now going to affix this arm to the chair and do the same exact process to the other arm pad that I've done to this one. I am not going to show you that process, but I am going to show you the finished product. I don't want this video to be extremely long, and I feel like right now we're at that point to where it's a good time to cut it off. So let me finish the other armrest and I'll show you what the chair looks like. As promised, I am bringing you the finished arms. Now, they of course are not perfect. However, there aren't any holes in the fabric, and that right there is good enough for me. So let me turn the camera around so I can end this video properly. I know you're probably thinking, wow, is that all the video I'm going to get today? Well, yes, that is all the video you're going to get today, because this video is getting pretty long and it takes a while to reupholster a chair. So if you want to see the next part of this reupholstery, then join me on the next video. Until then, bye.
1, 2, 3, 4!